If you look at that cover close enough, you'll see aliens turning back from Earth because of how messed up we are. And if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. What's up, everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're looking to get your music reviewed, you can hit up this email. That's right here. But today, we are going to talk about this new album from Dizzee Rascal called Raskit. Now, Dizzee Rascal, of course, is a UK legend and grime pioneer, but I first heard him when I caught his video for Dream on Much Music. See, here in Canada, the UK scene isn't overly big. It never was, but we are getting more familiar with some of these big name artists. So way back in the day, I caught that video, I liked it, so then I went out and bought his Showtime album. I actually liked a lot of songs on here, including the single Stand Up Tall. This was just a very different sound that I wasn't used to, so that got me into the UK scene, and I started checking for some other artists, guys like Kano and also Roots Manuva. As far as Dizzee's catalog goes, I consider myself to be quite a fan of his music. I think Boy in the Corner is one of the most unique and energetic projects I've ever heard, and it's also critically acclaimed by a lot of people. I've seen a lot of voices out there claiming that it is the best grime project of all time, but if you're from the UK, you can let me know and fill me in, because I'm sort of an outsider just speaking my opinion on this genre. As far as Dizzee's other albums go, I do like a lot of his other work, but his last album, The Fifth, really didn't do much for me at all. There were a couple of decent tracks on there, but for the most part, it just seemed like he was going for that poppy, mainstream, clubby radio sound. He wasn't giving us the bangers and bars that we wanted to hear from Dizzee. But goddammit, he is back on his bullshit with this album, and I mean that in a good way, because this is loaded with bangers and bars. And even some really dope G-Funk production. I'd say that the tracks Bop and Keep It Dippin' and Man of the Hour actually have some of the best G-Funk production I've heard all year. Another thing that I like about Bop and Keep It Dippin' is the content, because Dizzee is going into detail about where he came from and how far he's come. He even just starts off rapping about some of the crazy shit he experienced in his youth, including catching the clap and witnessing one of his friends stab somebody over a counter. So you're going to get a lot of that on this project, and I think Dizzee did a great job of letting you know his story. This is his 6th studio album, and he's still coming through with quality content, messages, and bars. So that is something that I really loved about this project, and there certainly is no shortage of that. On the song Ghost, he continues to tell some tales from his youthful days, including how girls didn't want him back then, but now they all on him, kind of like Mike Jones. And I do have to point out that there's a really dope flute sample on this track as well. Or maybe it was an ocarina, I don't know, because it's been a long ass time since I played any Zelda games. But the first song that I actually heard from this album is What You Gonna Do, because it did come out with a video. I absolutely love this track. It's one of my favorite songs of the year, and a lot of that has to do with the production, where it switches back and forth between these bells and blaring horns. It is just a nasty ass bassy trunk slapper. The content here really helps as well, because Dizzee is just asking 100 questions. He's asking these rappers what they're gonna do when their money, fame, and success wears out. I just thought this was a very cool idea to rap about, because a lot of today's rappers just have no depth, so I really doubt if they're going to have longevity, which means they'll need to have answers to these questions. What are you going to do when people don't love you anymore? When the tax man shows up? When people start criticizing you and you change your sound and people don't fuck with it? He's really asking a lot of great questions on here, but what makes it even more impressive is it kind of seems like he might be asking some of this shit to himself, because Dizzee is a veteran who's been in the game for a long ass time. Certainly, he'd be thinking about some of these things as well, because he's been criticized and he's wondering how people are going to feel about his new music and if they're still giving him credit for what he's done. So overall, I love the concept of this track, has a dope beat as well, easily one of my favorites. Throughout this album, he speaks on his veteran status quite a bit, as he has the right to do, since as I mentioned, he's a legend and a goddamn pioneer. On the song The Other Side, he recaps some of his old beefs, including one that he had with Wiley, and also responds to some of his critics who seem to forget all the work that he put in on the grime scene. I just think all these little tidbits add to the replay value, because there is no shortage of content and history on here. In fact, the song Make It Last goes even deeper into the history of the grime scene, as Dizzee is rapping and dropping all kinds of names, places, neighborhoods, radio stations, just all kinds of shit that I really didn't even know what he was talking about, to be honest. What I mean is, I got the point of what he was saying, but I don't know all these neighborhoods. I don't know all these artists. I'm across the pond where this scene is not really that popular to me. So even though some of those deep grime culture references didn't stick with me, I still appreciated this track because you can really tell he knows what he's talking about and he's been there for a long time. If you are familiar with that scene or you're from the UK, I think you'll appreciate all these little tidbits even more than me. But god damn it, he's just rapping his ass off on all these songs. The production is dope as well. Make It Last has this nasty twisting bass line. So even though I don't get everything 100%, I still love this album and I think it's great. Maybe I just need to do a little bit of history when it comes to the grime scene and culture. One thing I really want to speak on though is this. If you've been watching my channel, you know I often say something along the lines of this. It is possible to find bangers that still have quality rapping and good content over top of them. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in that last Tyga review where the beats were on point, but he just rapped about nothing, so it wasn't interesting. But this album right here is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. This is why banging ass beats just aren't enough for me these days, because you got an album here with some high quality production, loads of bangers, and Dizzee is still rapping his ass off. The rhyme schemes and flows throughout this album are immaculate. I especially love that first verse on Focus and some of the rapid flows on Space. So this is someone who is taking that good production and not wasting the shit just rapping about money, coke, girls, just the boring ass shit. He's really going into detail about his past, letting you know who he is, what he's done for the grime scene, dropping history lessons. This is just a damn good album all around. Great beats, great lyrics, and great content. There's really just no better example of all these things than the song Slow Your Roll. I am absolutely in love with the second verse on this, and it's one of my favorite verses of the year. First off, I like the beat as well. You get some more deep bass rolls as well as some very warm strings. But that second verse is goddamn flaming fiery lava hell fire, man. I love the content and the flows and schemes he's using here. What he's rapping about is just how street violence and gentrification come together to tear apart neighborhoods. You got people killing each other over property they don't even own. Gentrification takes place when certain corporations or businesses start putting money in there and, raising prices up, making it so the people who live there have to move out. I mean, I'm no master of economics. If I'm talking out my ass, let me know. But god damn it, he really explains it in this verse and goes into a lot of detail. This really just shows you that Dizzee has so many things to speak on, man. He is covering a wide variety of topics. All that said, this to me is a 4 out of 5, very easily. I like so many things about this. I mean, the production isn't overly innovative throughout here, and I understand some of these flows you may have heard before from other artists. Like, he's not really doing anything that's too groundbreaking that would make me raise it up to a 4.5, but everything is just done so well on here, and I don't have too many least favorite tracks. I would say She Know What She Wants is one of my least favorites. This is just your typical track about a girl who knows what she wants, so the content there ain't that special, although the beat does have a little bit of a summertime feel to it. And my other least favorite would be Sick of This. Once again, it has some good content. He's just rapping about all the things that he's sick of. Social media, bum-ass rappers, etc., etc. But the buzzing synth on this beat is just so grating and repetitive, I really couldn't get with it. But hey, there's pretty much everything I have to say about this album. I could probably go on for another 5 to 10 minutes, but I think this gives you an idea of what I like and what I don't like about it. So check it out for yourself and then hit me up in the comment section. You also want to make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff. You know where I'm at, so show me love and show me lots of it. Thank you for watching, everybody. I will see you next time.